I've been talking with a lot of the players, and the new format here used to be the Bob Hope, used to be glitz, glamour, celebrity, but now it's a little bit more friendly for the PGA Tour players. What do you think about the changes?
Well, being that we've dropped some of the amateurs out and we're playing two pros, it's obviously played quicker today. Chris and I were talking, we couldn't believe how quick it played. Now, that being said, this tournament's always been famous, and I'm one of the few guys that was been here way back when Bob Hope, there was a pairing that used to come every year. It was Bob Hope, Gerald Ford, and Tip O'Neill used to play with the past champion. That group was absolutely the biggest thing of the whole year on the tour. I mean, it was 10 deep all the way down the fairway. I used to play at Indian Wells. I remember those days and going out there as a young guy and just sort of seeing the whole scene. In the first year on tour I came in here, I went to the locker room at Indian Wells after I played a practice round. And I said to the guy, I said, where do I get a beer around here? And the guy said, out the gate, left, down there's a place called the Nest. It's Arnold Palmer's favorite place. So I went down there, walked in the place, got in there, and there was a cutout piece through the bar I could see through. I looked through, and there's Arnold Palmer at a piano bar with Bing Crosby was playing the piano. Bob Hope was in there, and they had about 4 or 5 the Bob Hope girls, and everyone was having a good time. And I thought, I'm on the tour.
This is life.
This is it. This is it. I've made it. And that was back '86.
So it seems like you've come a long way since then.
Well, yeah, I've been lucky. I've played. I've been lucky enough to be out here on tour, a long time. Kris Blanks, who's only been on tour 4 years. We talked a little bit today about how lucky we are to be able to play golf for a living, and of course I'm very thankful for that. But I practice hard, and I've been lucky enough to win some tournaments and be able to stay in there for a long period of time. Hey, it's awesome, really.
When you talk about being on here for a long time, of course, 2012 is a year that a lot of people expect some younger guns to really be more consistent and maybe make a headway as far as establishing themselves on tour. Do you have any advice for those younger guys to stay consistent, to maintain a certain decorum?
This year is going to be an interesting year. Tiger Woods was a dominant player, and he's going to come back. He's going to try to restake some land that he lost. Phil Mickelson's obviously a great fan favorite. But then you've got a bunch of guys, Luke Donald and Rory McIlroy and Charles Schwartzel, all these guys. The landscape has changed. The media likes to go ahead and talk about guys that we haven't heard of, sort of, Ricky Fowlers that haven't won many events, but they give them a lot of publicity. I'm not really sure it's fair to talk about those guys in that voice because they haven't won enough tournaments to talk about it. When I came on tour, and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and Tom Watson, they'd all won tons of tournaments. There was never any talk about a young guy, ever. And so I think there's a bit too much pressure. The guy that really rolls the dice more than anyone, the young guy who's won a lot of tournaments, is so far is Dustin Johnson. The reason I like him so much, I picked him when he first came out. I played with him, and I liked him the most. Dustin carries 5,000 in his pocket all the time. He don't care about anything. So he'll roll the dice. A lot of these guys won't. They're too nervous, and they won't really put their sack on the line. Dustin, he'll beat all of them. So he's my guy that I think will push through. This event was played at some of the smaller courses, Bermuda Dunes, Tamarisk. There's a lot of interaction between the town, right? The people sort of walk out of their backyards and they see this event, right? It's been part of this community. So you see volunteers that have 25 badges, and you see a girl like you that's got 25 badges, and you say, oh, that's all of her years she's been volunteering, right? It's a big effort, right? So it's just a sort of an event that is a stalwart on the tour, and it's not the hardest courses in the world to play. It's always lush. If you put ryegrass on a brick road, it's going to grow. So all these courses look unreal. All the people sitting in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Minnesota, all those countries, they look out here and go, wow, look at that. I wish I was there, right? Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. So this event with President Clinton coming out this year and my friend Greg Norman, who decided we played 2 practice rounds together, I think that's a good boost. And I also think what it's a good boost this week is Humana, that they're talking about health awareness and so on, you know. Let's bring in big cards here.
We'll get big cards. Kris Blanks over here, our playing partner to the one and only Steve Elkington. First of all, let's talk about your round. How'd you play today, and what can you do for tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I'm going to the bank, and I'm going to withdraw $5,000.
Put it in his pocket.
And I'm going to put it in my pocket so I can walk around with big cards.
Big cards.
Yeah. That's first of all. Second of all, you know, I played bad.
At least you have room for improvement, though.
Bad,
Make sure you get that.
I would evaluate him differently than he evaluates himself.
How would you do that?
Well, I've always liked, you know, Chris's game. He's a young player, and a lot of young players don't know that I'm looking at them, but he likes to fade the ball, and that's cool. And he's just, you know, he's a good putter. He's fooling around with a long putter, a lot of belly putter guys and all that. But when the guys become great or be able to win tournaments, it's not so much the physicalness, it's more that they've changed their mind about what they think about themselves, etc. So I think Kris has got potential to play well. I watched him play. He almost won Canada. Could have won that easily. Well, not easily, but could have won it outright. But he's just starting out, really. And I brought him into this group this week a little bit so we can have a little look and talk and see what's going on a little bit, see if we can get him moving in the right direction. I think everyone out here, there's so much money, they all want to play for gold. But really, if you play for silver, then no. If you play for silver, the trophy, then the gold's going to be there.
Oh, I gotcha.
Exactly. And that's the one thing that I've always tried to do. No, it's the one thing I've always tried to do is not being afraid to fail. I mean, if I hit a shot and it doesn't pull off, I'm not going to be the least bit disappointed as long as it was the right shot and the right situation. So, you know, hanging out with, you know, a lot of the veterans out here is what I've been able to do the last couple of years and what I've learned the most. So it's you know, it's pretty cool for me to be out here and be able to associate myself with not only the greatest players in the world, but some of the guys that you know, really have made the profession of being a professional golfer, you know, what it is today.
And I'm sure it's also reassuring to hear that you have the physical tools. And like most young people coming up in a profession, it's a matter of getting your discipline and understanding more of the game.
I think the young guy thinks he needs more than he already has because he hasn't been out long enough. Kris might look at me and say, well, you know, he obviously would say, you know, I can hit the ball like Elk and so on. He obviously doesn't have the experience because he hasn't been out as long as I have. So they all think they need more. They think they need a coach or this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, you are on your own when you play, and you do have to be able to, just like they had to go through when they played high school golf and they won at college and they went to tour school and they actually got their card. They had to break through these barriers, you know. I call it busting through the hole of the unknown is what I call. So what happens is, and look, I've been there, and Kris was there last year. So what happens when you get into tournament conditions is when the pressure gets really hot, he'll tell you this, you can ask him, when you're on the range and you're playing and that's good, then you play the tournament and you feel the same way, and then your swing starts to feel different when the pressure gets more. You don't feel the same guy. And you have to accept that's going to be, it's different, and now I'm going to have to learn how to play under the pressure.
You just can't play scared. Anytime you play scared, you're going to, you know, it's going to.
Time to play conservative.
Yeah.
Play
But
smart.
not scared, but not.
For example,
scared.
like Phil Mickelson, for example, not to pick on him or anything, but when he didn't win the U.S. Open, he should have hit that iron off at wing foot. You know, he went for that driver shot. He was going to try to make one more swing. If he could just hit that drive, it was over. But he wasn't. He should have done that. Basically, the tournament came down to at wing foot. Phil had to make. Someone had a trophy, the U.S. Open trophy on the green. Said, if you can make 5 on this hole, it's your trophy, right?
Yep.
So he hit it over there, made 6.
Yep.
Lost the tournament.
Yep.
So in hindsight, he should have just went boom, 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 and made. He could make 5 in his sleep, right? Yeah. So it's not always go, go, go. Sometimes it's being smart as well, right? Mm-hmm. The bear was the smartest of all. Yeah.
It's such an intuitive game, the game of golf. I mean, I grew up playing soccer, and I cover mainly football, very aggressive sports. And playing golf and covering golf, it seems like you have to have your mind right before you can even worry about having your body right.
If your mind is 100%, it's going to overcome a lot of the swing faults because you know if your mind realizes, you know what, I don't really have it today, you know, you're going to attack the golf course a different way. Mm-hmm. As long as you continue to attack the golf course, you're going to be all right. Once you start realizing, okay, you know, I don't really have my game, well, I'm going to start playing away from stuff, going here and going there. You just can't do that. You got to stay aggressive and play naked.
You want to play naked?
I've done it actually. I
on purpose, or did you lose a bet?
No, I won a bet from a guy that was sort of he was gay, and he wanted to play me naked for some heavy cash, big cash.
So you were the winner of the bet, and you still?
I won big money.
Did we just discover something about Steve Elkington? Is that what just happened?
Lochinvar. I won $10,000 playing naked. Guy wanted to play me naked. I didn't have that much cash at the time. I mean, hey, you know, it's old school.
It's old school.
Old school. No houses on the course.
No houses on the course.
No houses on the course.
All right, you are a privileged, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Kris, thank you.